Hello, panel. So my name is Austin Anderson. I've actually been in the tech industry for about 15 years now. Just quit LinkedIn. And I was leading the content distribution team at LinkedIn. It was about 30 engineers. So I came together with a bunch of my friends that we all sort of are gamers. And then the project we're working on is called Rupie. Rupie is, we're creating the initiative to basically coalesce and create and fix the problems that exist within the scope of gaming and the game developers. Right now in gaming, there's a lot of distrust for the game development process. A lot of people don't really understand that unless you have a lot of gaming insight. And what's happening with things like EA losing $3 billion in valuation in like 2 days because of Star Wars Battlefront 2 and how they mismanaged it. Basically, something needs to change, and game development is in trouble. So what we're proposing is creating a system that we're building right now that includes a milestone escrow system where gamers can come and help developers fund, build, and drive the conversation in one platform. And what's really cool about that and what we're super stoked about is that we can actually make a very opaque system that's not really transparent and there's not a lot of accountability, far more transparent, by creating a milestone system where game developers, we hold their cash until they actually deliver on game builds or some kind of deliverable. Right now what ends up happening is that game developers, they kind of run away with gamers' money, and the game industry feels that quite consistently. A lot of people I know I ask fund a Kickstarter, and I always ask, like, who's funded a Kickstarter here? And it didn't really turn out exactly the way they would have hoped. So what we want to do is create more accountability, because in the game industry, it's actually multiplied by 5 in terms of how many game developers run away with the gamers' money and they just stop building the game. And so there's two predominant means of actually developing a game as an indie developer. The first way is via early access. And the idea behind early access is that you kind of build an alpha version of the game and then you deliver the game and then sell it for full price. So what ends up happening is the gamers actually purchase this game at full price, and then the game developer ends up just stopping development. And so they never get it. And so the idea behind that is that we've got a bunch of people coming and building project management tools, because game developers also don't have very much project management experience. So we're integrating with Trello and also Jira. And so the idea behind it is that we're trying to create a system where game developers can come together with the gamers and build games together in a way that hasn't been possible yet.
Okay, so I got to say right out the gate, I love what you're doing. I think it's a huge solution to a big problem. But before I drill you with questions, let's get something from the crowd.
Let's get it.
How would you compare yourself to some of the other video game platforms like Refereum and so forth? For a lot of people, that's reference points are always helpful.
Our co-founders are actually friends with some of the Refereum folks, and tentatively we're talking with them to try to figure out where we could partner. I'm not going to sell Refereum right now, but they're obviously influencer rewards for video games. We're not doing that, but it's a good opportunity. The other mainstream platforms right now, like Steam and Origin and these other game distribution platforms, we've got a co-founder from Valve on our team right now, and we're coming together to create a better platform. Distribution is actually a later project that we're doing, but we're fulfilling a need right now that's not done, which is game developers accountability and building games in the way that actually solves a lot of issues.
Yeah, could you give 1 or 2 examples of maybe communities and games where people may not be aware, where the fan bases are rabid, and it kind of point to some of the pain points that you're trying to solve?
75%, like I said, of Kickstarter games fail outright. 75% of early access games fail outright as well. So game developers, they have literally 25% chance of actually succeeding in their video game project. Communities right now are up and just really upset about the state of video game development, especially AAA games. The big studios like EA, like I was just mentioning. The reason why EA lost $3 billion valuation is because of a community boycott. They literally just boycotted the game outright because game developers have this problem with early feedback. They don't get early feedback. So they'll go down this rabbit hole for a long time, and then who knows if the game is good. So we're creating an early feedback system that actually enables developers to work with the community right out the gate and fix that problem that really is plaguing the industry.
I know the mobile gaming space super well
Yeah.
too. By holding that money in escrow or even delivering it on milestones, which is really what you're probably going to evolve into, where you deliver based on delivered milestones, you're going to make games actually deliver the goods, which a lot of games never get delivered, like 70 or 80, almost maybe probably 90%.
Correct.
Now, are you going to focus just on gaming platforms for the big games, or are you going to like open it up to mobile apps? Because that's a whole big space that this would actually apply really well to. And I'm not an investor in your project yet, but if your white paper is solid, I would tell you that you're solving a really big problem in the gaming space that could be huge. And if you do some sort of back-end work after the game is developed and delivered, there's a huge ad revenue model in your business also.
Yes. So first, the first question, we are definitely launching with milestone escrow. That's kind of the way we're breaking it down. I'm very familiar. Our whole team is just composed of engineers. We're all engineers, basically. We've got people from Microsoft, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Salesforce even, actually, that are working together to do this. And we're all gamers. We're actually all volunteering right now. There's 8 of us, and we're volunteering full-time just because we really believe in this project. And I love that.
Well, that's gonna come to a screeching halt when people have to feed themselves. So what are you going to do to raise money?
So that's what we're doing right now. That's a great question. So at this point, I mean, obviously we're here at Polycon and we're connecting and networking with folks. We're actually, at this point, we're reaching out to a lot of syndicates. We've got a lot of syndicates that are very interested. It's not necessarily where is the money, it's more about good money versus bad money at this point. So we're trying to figure out how to do that, how to approach it. Obviously, the ICO space is fairly new, and so we're just trying to get the best practices from a lot of advisors, and that's kind of that. Does that answer your question?
I think, like I said, I think you guys are solving a problem, and if you execute, and if your white paper solves that problem really well, you guys could do something amazing in a space that has a lot of people in it.
Are you just doing sort of institutional raises, or are you going to get? Are you looking for community raises as well for your project?
Good question. So we're planning on doing an airdrop. We've got a strategic 2-part airdrop. One is through influencers. You got to realize we're managing 2 worlds. We're managing the ICO space, but we're also managing this whole gaming space too. So we're going to GDC. We're talking with these people. And so we're actually planning on doing a private raise just because that's the safest from a legal perspective at this point. But we're also doing the airdrop to actually drive community participation.
If this doesn't take off, which obviously isn't in your thoughts, is there any fear about what you'll do if you get your community involved where there's already distrust within some of the bigger organizations? And do you fear that you'll then obviously break that trust and ruin those relationships and your whole gaming industry, you'll fuck them over? You don't want to fuck them over.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Definitely.
Do you fear that? And is that...
No, we're, like I was saying, so we've got a lot of product experience. We've launched huge projects for Fortune 500 companies. We understand the development cycle. So that's obviously an edge case. That's something that could happen. But we are so confident this is a need right now that... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm glad you said that, because if you're going to your community to help them with your project, I think it makes other people want to invest too, because you are a good guy, ultimately, and that's obvious. And you don't want to mess those guys up, or ladies up, of course. So I think that helps other big money come in, because all this stuff has to have, and I don't care what anybody says, but it has to have an emotional connection too. And if that emotional connection will drive you guys further, because you don't want to disappoint that very same community you're protecting.
Wow, thank you. I just wanted to follow up on that real quick because I had this idea like 2 years ago before I was really in the crypto space. This is I was as a kid, an avid gamer, obviously, and Rupees, it's based off of a certain game. There's a currency in a certain game.
Zelda.
No! Oh, yes. So this has been a dream of ours for a long time, is my point. This isn't some crypto play. This is just, we're looking at creating a referentially transparent system where we can actually provide a lot of value. And that's what we're trying to do. And so we've been preparing for this for a long time. We just really believe in this. This is something that we really believe in, and this is our contribution back to the game community. So it's like it's part of our soul, kind of. And so I don't think there's no failure. There's pivots, lots of pivots, and that's what we're expecting.
Quick question. For the most part, you've answered most of the things, and Chris has asked some questions I had. If you could give us kind of an update on your roadmap, where you are, when things will be ready, and just kind of where you're at on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So at this point, we're starting airdrop pre-registration. Grifflin is actually launching our site. We've got a really amazing animated site with like a cityscape and these like gems are going all over the place. And at this point now, after airdrop, we're planning on doing MVP release mid-April. And then doing the private sale, we're just taking verbal token confirmations right now. And then after the MVP is released, then we're going to actually do our sale.
Let's give him a big hand. Awesome. Well done.
Thank you. Appreciate
If
it.
you guys have any questions?